Stop looking at the moon as a dream destination. It's actually a toxic trap. Forget the lack of oxygen, the freezing temperatures, or the deadly radiation. The single biggest threat to the humans we are sending back to the lunar surface with the Artemis missions isn't the vacuum of space. It is the dirt. We have been lied to by every sci-fi movie ever made. They show astronauts hopping around, dusting off their suits, and stepping back inside the ship like they just walked in from a sandy beach. But the reality is much more violent. As we prepare for Artemis 2 and the inevitable landing that follows, NASA scientists are scrambling to solve a biological nightmare that could ground humanity's space ambitions forever. They call it lunar dust toxicity, but the astronauts who experienced it firsthand had a different name for it: the moon allergy. Here is the controversy that no one talks about. When the Apollo astronauts returned inside their lunar modules, they took off their helmets and immediately smelled something distinct: gunpowder. The cabin reeked of spent gunpowder. Their eyes watered, their throats swelled up. Apollo 17 astronaut Harrison Schmitt, a geologist, suffered such a severe reaction he called it lunar hay fever. His sinuses clogged instantly. He was having a reaction to the dust clinging to his suit. But here is where it gets terrifying. This wasn't just a sneeze fest, it was a warning. To understand why, you have to look at moon dust under a microscope. On Earth, sand and dust are created by wind and water. Over millions of years, the elements tumble the rocks, smoothing down the edges until they are round and relatively harmless. But the moon has no wind. It has no water. It has no atmosphere. The soil there, known as regolith, has been smashed by meteorites for billions of years, but never smoothed. That means every single speck of moon dust isn't a round grain. It is a microscopic shard of glass. It is jagged, hooked, and razor sharp. When you inhale that, it doesn't just irritate your lungs. It slices them. Recent studies from Stony Brook University have shown that this dust is so abrasive that when it touches human lung cells, it kills them. In laboratory tests, simulated lunar soil destroyed up to 90% of human lung cells and DNA neurons it came into contact with. It basically hacks your biology to pieces on a cellular level. And it gets worse. Because the moon is constantly bombarded by solar wind without an atmosphere to protect it, the dust becomes electrostatically charged. It acts like tiny magnets. It doesn't just fall to the ground. It levitates. It clings to everything. It dug into the Kevlar of the Apollo spacesuits and chewed through the layers like sandpaper. So, imagine the Artemis astronauts. They are going there to set up a long-term presence. They won't be there for 2 days. They will be there for weeks, eventually months. If that dust gets into the habitat, and it will float in the air they breathe. It could lead to a condition similar to silicosis, the fatal lung disease suffered by coal miners, or black lung. Except this would be moon lung, and we don't have a cure for it in space. NASA is currently throwing everything they have at this problem before the 2026 window fully opens. They are developing electrodynamic dust shields that use electricity to zap dust off surfaces, and spacesuits with outer layers that can be sacrificed and peeled off. They are essentially trying to dust-proof humans against a world that is made entirely of weaponized dirt. It changes how you look at the night sky, doesn't it? The moon is beautiful, but it fights back. We are trying to colonize a rock that is actively trying to shred us from the inside out. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on the real science behind the space race, make sure you follow this page right now. We dig deeper than the headlines. So, knowing that the very air inside a moon base could eventually turn your lungs into scar tissue, I have to ask you, if NASA offered you a ticket to the moon tomorrow, would you still take the risk?